you.
Thank you very much, Bonnie. Tonight, I will call this meeting to order at 6 o'clock p.m. Please rise if you're able for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, thank you, everyone. So as tradition, we are going to start off with board recognition, and we have two individuals that I'd like to begin by recognizing this evening. The first is Jeremy Dixon. Jeremy, would you come join us at the podium, please? And I've got some words to read to you.
On the podium?
Yep.
Yeah,
Right, you're good.
you have your speech ready, Jim?
Okay.
So the Board of Directors has set a value and priority around building meaningful community partnerships and connections. Tonight, we have the pleasure of honoring community member and local business owner, Jeremy Dixon. Jeremy proudly serves the communities of Enumclaw, Buckley, Bonnie Lake, Grand, Puyallup, and most importantly, Orting. Locally, he has supported community events, including the Chocolate Stroll, Youth Market, Red Hat Days, and many other events. Each week, he takes time out of his busy schedule to select and honor Orting High School Athletes of the Week. This year, to help encourage school attendance, he added an attendance winner of the week, recognizing students with a certificate and donuts to share with their classmates. Jeremy, as a board of directors, we want to thank you for everything you do to recognize our students for their accomplishments. We could not do this work as a board without amazing community partners. So we want to thank you. And we have, this is a tradition. We've got a gift for you. And do you have something you'd like to say before we do the photo?
No, it's been, it's been fun and a great opportunity to bring light to the kids. I was talking here with Ed about, when I was growing up, we had like newspapers, and when something happened, people were recognized in a paper. And everyone had either, I grew up in Buckley, so we had the Enumclaw Herald, we had the Tacoma News Tribune. And that just doesn't exist anymore. And I think being recognized is something that's really important. And I'd like to do anything to do to encourage kids to show up to school. It's one of the things we talk about when we go into classrooms is showing up is a major thing in life. In school, in work, being there on time, being there every day is a life lesson. And if we can help, our kids learn that, and then that's fantastic.
Yeah. Well, we're definitely appreciative of the recognition you've provided our students and celebrating. Great job. It's cool. It's nice to have recognition from the community as well as the recognition you do inside the buildings.
Yeah.
So you get to have a picture taken.
No.
With
All right. Well, at least y'all are going to make it look good.
So we laugh and smile about this, but it's really important. We want to make sure that this is all public record. Just so you know.
I love Bigfoot. I'm a Bigfoot fan. Yeah.
Squeeze, squeeze, squeeze.
Yeah.
I'll work with this right here.
That's perfect, you guys are great at this. Ready, 1, 2, 3. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, again, appreciate it very much.
Thank you.
I feel like we should
Right. Oh, no. Oh, just don't. words for you. I'm gonna say it fast. So Jaden, it has been our pleasure to witness you persevere through all the adventures and the challenges of high school. You were shy on your first day here. I remember that. And you have grown so much in your confidence, and you have flexed your leadership skills in a way that has left a lasting impression on not just our high school, but here at the central office and throughout our district. That's pretty impressive. You are an insightful, and we appreciate how you have carried student voice here into our boardroom and represented not just the high school, but student voice and students throughout all of our schools in the district. We couldn't be more proud and excited for you to cross the stage at graduation. However, your presence here will be missed. We thank you for your 2 years of service here, and we wish you all the best. And we are going to celebrate you crossing that stage, but I want to thank you for your time with us here. And I would open it up to the board if you'd like to add anything.
Sorry, I remember your student work rep interview, and the one thing that I came away with that during that interview was your compassion. It spoke volumes, and your desire to do whatever was in your realm of possibility to make things better for any and all. I'm very proud of you, and I can't wait to hear how you succeed in your future.
I just wanted to say, it hasn't just been recognized here, but across the street from me, your cheerleading coach's parents live. And she was talking to me about how much you've grown this year and how impressed she's been. So everybody's noticing it. And since I've known you the longest, I'm just so proud. I met him when he was a teeny guy in the stroller. Anyway, so I'm just so proud of you.
I've known you for a long time too, Jaden, because I had you in class, and I'm not surprised by how much you've grown, because I thought you were pretty amazing then. You were very positive, you were always encouraging the kids to do the reading and to do things, so I'm not that surprised that you've turned out as amazing as you have. And I am going to miss you. I'm going to miss your sense of humor. I'm going to miss your leadership. And so, but I just wish you the best.
Thank you.
I just wanted to say, since you came on, back to what they were saying, I got to sit next to you that year, right? And I watched the nervous side of it.
Yes.
Like, what am I doing, right? And you just stepped up. You did a great job. What you guys did this year at the conference that we did, I'm just like, wow, you know, you guys thrived in there, and it's just awesome to watch, and that passion that you have, and you will be missed. Yeah.
Thank you.
I see Jane all the time. I can say, I don't know. I don't cry. I don't know. I mean, like, I've been friends with Jaden, since middle school, and he's always been like someone safe, which is something I really appreciate. And so,
That's pretty powerful.
I was gonna say, I see that.
so I'm really glad I was able to have this year with him. A little sad that next year I'm not going to be here.
Yeah. We'll sign out though.
We must hang out though.
Speaking of still hanging out, so there's an expectation of former student board reps. A, visit, and B, somehow pay it back later. Join school board, do something with the schools, keep connected with kids.
Okay.
I think you'd be amazing at that. I asked him at big Ed every time. Come back, say hi, that's the easy one. All right, we have something to remember us by. picture with you.
I guess that's not optional.
Yeah. Okay, there's some important things here. Well wishes from all of us. Photo. You get to have this, your name tags in there, or your name placard, and then you get to take your, you get to take your chicken stuff. And we're so proud of you. Oh, goody.
Okay. Ready, 1, 2, 3. Congrats.
And we're gonna see you
Yeah.
on stage. That's your moment. Pause. Pause and celebrate.
This song.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, for sure, for sure. Now, that's not your green light to leave. We go right to the
Still here.
on to the finish. And, or we have more things to celebrate, so I will open it up to you. Jeremy, thank you so much for coming tonight.
Thank you. Appreciate
Thank
it.
you.
I want to say congratulations to the talented members of the Ordine High School Band who wrapped up the year with a fantastic end-of-year concert in late May. Their hard work, creativity, dedication were on full display, and what a great way to finish the year strong. I also want to bring up, I was at the choir concert, same thing. They just knocked it out of the park, so yeah, great job.
I would also like to bring out with the high school, the signing. I love the signing day. It's just like so cool to watch all the kids. And I just loved all the different areas that they're going into. It's like so many different things. And I know the kids feel really good about it, but it's just so fun. And we're waiting to see where they're going and how excited they are. So I love that they brought that into the program. And it's really cool to watch.
Yeah, I like the diversity of schools, but just the diversity of pathways.
Yes, yes.
Everybody's found their path, and I
Yes.
love it.
I love that Ordine doesn't do just like the sports signings, you know,
Yeah,
kids,
yeah.
you know, we get to celebrate their lives and their
Yeah.
futures. I think that's really cool.
A big shout out to Tatum, a 6th grade student at Orion Middle School who raised more than $520 for the color run. And those funds are used for a variety of student activities, music program, sports program, referees, student clubs, dances. And thank you, Tatum. And I also have to say, I do believe she's on the middle school cross-country team because they were the person that had the person that used that much money. So, that's awesome. So she helped out her team, and the cross-country team had the most donations.
I'll do a shout out to the Ordine Combined PTA. Thanks to their generosity, our kindergarten students from Ptarmigan Ridge had a sunny and memorable adventure at Northwest Track. We appreciate our PTA for continuing to support hands-on learning and unforgettable experiences for our youngest learners.
Well, one of my favorite days, next to graduation, has always been a Lahar drill. This year, I'm not joking, it's just been fun. But this year was a little bit different. So on May 22nd, students in kindergarten, 6th, and 9th grades participated in a modified Lahar drill, walking a portion of the evacuation route. And one of the reasons I like this day is just the collaborative community effort to get our students and our community to safety. I've said it time and time again, if there's ever a Lahar, follow the kids, they know where to go.
Yeah.
So I want to extend a big thank you to our Ordine Police Department, the City of Ordine, helping us to make sure everything ran smoothly and our kids were safe, and their support and collaboration make all the difference. So just glad we continue to do that. It's an awfully quiet, beautiful day. looking up at the mountain today, and I will. I got one more shout out. I just want to recognize our staff and our teachers who are in the home stretch. And this is an exciting time of year, but also tough. Everybody's ready to get to the finish line. So I just want to appreciate them for their continued dedication and focus on kids.
May their heart, their feet, and their voices stay strong.
I love it. All right. Then I'll turn it over to community comments, and we've got one speaker tonight. So Eddie, would you join us up here?
Sure. So, just so you all aware, I emailed my questions to you because I know that you're not going to be able to answer them on the fly right now, so they should be in all of your inboxes as well as I send them to the board body.
Thank you.
So the questions I ask here will be viewed as rhetorical, and then I have a statement at the end that I'd like to make. So, is the board aware that there are several students who have been harmed by former LEAP students who were left without support and expected to behave appropriately alone in Gen Ed, having never been without everyone's support? Is the board aware that former LEAP student who was deprived of support attacked multiple students this year and ultimately attacked staff before administration decided to provide them with the needed support? There's been a catastrophic failure by district administration to recognize, identify, and address the needs of our most vulnerable students. This is not an isolated issue, and I stand here as one of many families who has suffered the consequences of the district's failure to provide services owed to its students. The district's failure to protect my daughter and adequately support her attacker forced my family to seek a protection order from Pierce County Court in order to ensure my child's safety. Only after that same student attacked several employees was action taken and support given. How many of our daughters need to be assaulted on camera by male students 2 years their senior before somebody is held accountable? Will this board uphold its principles to create conditions district-wide for student and staff success? Will this board hold the district accountable for student learning and engage in responsible school district governance? Let me make myself totally clear. I am in no way faulting any student for their actions. This is a district administration issue. There are students in this district, human beings, members of our community, who have been left behind and abandoned by OSD. And it's causing harm not only to those who have lost their support, but other students as well. I'm calling this board to action. You were elected by our community to protect our children and ensure a safe and robust learning environment for them. The time for accountability is now, and this board has the duty to investigate the following allegations. Blatant inaction of school administrators to identify and address unacceptable student behavior. Inequitable removal of much-needed support services previously provided to the most vulnerable of students. The sweeping under the rug of serious behavioral issues on school grounds, specifically concerns submitted in writing by staff who are directly affected by this negligent behavior. The apparent collusion of principals, vice principals, and other staff to downplay the severity of incidents, foregoing student safety to preserve their own employment. I have spoken to several parents whose children were attacked or harmed, and their issues were merely a shadow of what actually happened. The report of the issues were merely a shadow. I have seen phrases like, after thorough investigation, which after I investigated myself through the PDR process, found several facts that were left out of this thorough investigation. This board has a duty, as elected officials and representatives of the community, to find those responsible for this negligence and hold them accountable for their actions. This is not a training or staff education issue. This is a question of district employee character and ethics. Failure of this board to act swiftly and appropriately to rectify these issues would render them complicit and also subject to litigation. I'm asking you guys to look into what principals and vice principals are doing in our schools, because my daughter was attacked by a boy 2 years older than her, right in front of staff on camera, and it was called physical aggression and not assault. And the student that attacked her was removed from school for 1 day, and the day he came back, he attacked 3 staff. Only then was he given the support he needed, and the only reason that my daughter was able to return to school safely in the interim until he was given his support was because I had to go get a court order that he couldn't come to school. I shouldn't have to go get a protection order against a 10-year-old boy so my daughter can attend school safely. And when the investigation was done, the conclusion that was found was that there was no interruption to learning. But the fact that was left out of that investigation is that the only reason my daughter attended school is because that court order kept that other boy away from her. Only after all those actions were taken was he given the support he had for his entire school career. He had a one-on-one behavioral with him the entire time. I want to reiterate, I do not fault this boy. He was robbed of the support he needed, and he didn't have the help he needed to keep himself from doing this. And he's hurt lots of people this year. You guys need to look into this, because there are staff members who, in my opinion, are intentionally downplaying the severity of issues, because if they were to actually document what was really going on at Boardington Elementary School, there'd be no way that you guys could keep them employed in good conscience. Please look into this. Thank you.
Thank you, Andy. I appreciate you for bringing that to the board. I'm sorry that you had to work through that with your daughter. We will look into it, and we appreciate you for sending your questions, and we'll follow up with you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Superintendent's report.
All right, busy time of year, happy to share some highlights and even a couple of videos elevating some voice from across the district as we continue that theme all throughout the year, including the remaining time left. Wanted to give you a little bit of facilities update. If you notice that 18-inch or so trench, we are busy adding the technology communications for our new portables in the high school parking lot. And that work will continue into the summer. As soon as kids leave, we're going to be trenching all the way over to the west wing to make sure we can connect to the alarm systems and really continue to make sure those are up and running by school start. We think we can kind of hit that August 10th mark and have those up and running, ready to go. Reminding the board and the community, we started to push this out in our newsletters. We will be pushing back the elementary start times, which also pushes the dismissal time back by 10 minutes. We're running into challenges not only with neighborhoods that are far out, but also increased traffic and congestion. And the current schedule doesn't allow us to get back and get kids picked up and hit those route times continuously. So that will be new for the fall. We are continuing with the plan to move Orting Elementary to the west wing, not all the way in. They'll have 6 of the classrooms, high school will have 2, and we'll put a wall in between to separate elementary from high school students. That will make sure high school doesn't lose any restrooms. Well, it'll lose 2, but it'll keep 2 as well, which are close proximity to those portables. So we will have a share scenario. That'll continue for the foreseeable future here until we really see what's happening with enrollment and growth. But that does mean that high school has no more room to grow. After we make that move, elementary will have a little bit of room with 6 classrooms. Improving learning outcomes. We have some wonderful news to share, speaking of what's happening on the learning front. I know Director Rabb, that'll be his last report that he'll be attached to tonight, but it'll be a good one. Dr. Lee's really leaning into this idea around how do we clarify what is most important. In our review of the new curriculum and what we're adopting, we really feel like we're trying to pack too much in. And if we really want to be about mastery and have kids flourish, we have to get clear on what's essential, which is going to feed how are we going to assess it, how are we going to intervene on it. And so far the feedback from staff has just been really positive in that regard. So we'll kind of give a little bit of foreshadow what that looks like, but when we think about these boxes, these are the exact tools that he's leading with. We're really working on that left side now. What's critical? What are the absolute core competencies in ELA and math? And he has teams of teachers, kindergarten all the way through high school, working on the left right now. What are the big ideas tied to those outcomes? What are the essential questions? Trying to break that down to learning intention, success criteria. When we look to the right, that's work that's going to be feeding next year. We discussed that a little bit with your May retreat. Thinking about how do we actionize and get more ongoing inquiry, and how will some of the tools like iReady feed our ongoing progress monitoring. So great work happening so far. That'll help feed in the summer to make sure we hit the ground running. We split our admin advance. Historically, that's been the second week in August. The day after school gets out, we're pulling our administrators together and dig deeper into this work so we all have clarity heading into summer about what the fall is going to look like. And that will actually tie into our keynote speaker, whom you've met, Dr. Paul Bloomberg, because we're going to incorporate that learner agency thread in everything that we do. Orting Combined PTA, I'm telling you, over $30,000 raised to make sure that every elementary child can go on a field trip. There's a picture, you talked about it a little bit ago, PTR visiting Northwest Trek, that was huge. We've had wonderful success, so much so that it was our pleasure to honor our PTA president, Michelle Alfieri, with the WASA Community Award last Friday. So we got to say thank you to her. But that is a team effort because she sits on top of the pyramid of 1,200 students plus and over 2,000 parents. And as what we described to the region, there are 3 big things attended in Orting. Daffodil Parade, Friday Night Lights, particularly when Eatonville and other local folks are here, and anything and everything the PTA does. That's really the top 3 of what's most attended here locally. Concerts were awesome. I am pleased to say that once again, the Orting Middle School Choir was selected to perform at the Seattle Mariners, so they'll be doing the national anthem on Father's Day. Hopefully fathers are traveling with them. They've had, our high school, such amazing ratings and support, many superior ratings this year. And this is always a tearjerker because we say goodbye to our seniors, but we said goodbye to our senior choir students this year. Same thing on the band. All of our bands got to perform. They've had wonderful success. Last year you called them in because they were top place, #1 at the Lincoln Invitational. They were #2 by a point. Was all the difference. They sounded amazing. It was so close, but they're continuing a strong tradition. And one of our boosters is in the audience tonight, and we also appreciative of the partnership that happens on that front as well. There's some pictures for our kindergartners walking out in the modified Lahar drill. OPD, we're grateful to their assistance and partnership. We do believe we'll be back to the full-scale multi-jurisdictional drill next year. It has about 26 different agencies, multiple school districts, so we think we'll be back to the full meal deal next year. Very much appreciative of our high school students for facilitating. They met the students, kindergarten students right there and walked with them downtown and back, so really cool having the high school partnership. Signing day, I thought I would do a brief video of what that looked like. Just briefly though, 52 tables representing everything you could think of. The world of work, trades, apprenticeships, military, who is going on to participate in collegiate athletics, 2-year, 4-year university. And this was really fun. Our staff were wearing shirts from their alma mater. This video will share a picture of our students joining our staff at the table as Cliff read the post-secondary plan out loud.
All students for Central Washington University, Cornish College of the Arts, Eastern Washington University, Gonzaga, Pacific Lutheran University, University of Washington Tacoma, University of Washington, Washington State University, Go Cougs, Western Washington University, and Whitworth University. Please come down for honor of
So after every pathway is called, students come down, stand behind the table, and when you're all said and done, every student is standing down there, and that's what it looks like. Not a pathway is left out. So kudos to Ms. Fry and our high school team for making sure that recognition is tracked and that students are celebrated for everything that they're doing after high school. I'll say last night we were definitely pleased, over about $100,000 of local and state and actually federal grants for scholarships, post-secondary ed. So a lot of support, a lot of scholarships given out last night. We're just really appreciative of particularly the local alumni partnership. On the lookout, you can see that blue rocket bottom left. That was the last time that rocket was seen. Always a hit when we particularly have our elementary students doing a countdown. Bonnie got to see it. Our life skills and transition students were out celebrating. There's Casey. And just so much fun. Mrs. Thompson's class, they actually do simulator and they do some predictability about what the rockets will do. She has some new engine concoction. She was describing it to Bonnie and I don't exactly know what it means, but they went fast and far, most of them. That one disappeared somewhere over Orting Elementary School and Kathy's area. So see a blue rocket, holler, but it was a lot of fun and the kids will love it.
I'll watch for that.
May is Mental Health Awareness Month. You started the year with the mental health theme. Doc Brown came, you talked about empowerment, but through the lens of really self-care. And students share their own strategies about how do they stay mentally healthy and well. This is part of the series, Hear From Us Kids, that Brittany's worked with to get voices elevated. I thought I'd share that video with you because it is just awesome. Foreshadowing though, you're about to see a video coming live where our kindergarten students are interviewing our seniors. So a little foreshadow, but let's get this one played. Bonnie, can you click on that link, please? Or not?
We might have some technical.
Click the X.
Click the X.
Just
I see it
yes?
right behind.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay,
yeah.
great. There's no sound. Kevin? Oh, wait.
Our bodies.
There you go.
What it means to take care of my brain and feelings, well, it means taking care of myself. If we don't take care of ourselves, then we can be unhealthy. And it also affects our mind and how we think.
When I feel sad, mad, or worried, I like to go into my room, play some music, and draw, make comics and stuff.
Whenever I'm sad, mad, and worried, sometimes I'll take deep breaths or listen to music when I'm able to.
It's important to talk about how we feel, because if we didn't, then no one would know how we feel, and empathy wouldn't be a thing.
Some advice I'd give a friend who's having a hard day is not really to worry about it that much, and if it's really, really bothering you, to talk about it with someone.
The advice I'd give to my friend if they were having a hard day would probably be just to stick it out, because you can go home and hang out with a pet you have, or just go watch TV and just be alone and chill. Just so, and also I would hang out with them if they wanted to. If they wanted space, you'd give them space.
When we take care of our feelings, talk to people we trust, and find healthy ways to calm our minds, we help our mental health stay strong. Let's keep supporting each other because we deserve to feel our best.
So in your board goals, you set qualitative and quantitative goals. The quantitative are numbers, percents, things like that. Part of the voice element is really the quantitative, and what are the opportunities or ways to increase. So I just want to keep bringing those back, and ways we're figuring out how do we elevate voice. Those are their ideas, those are their thoughts. Brittany crafts the questions and then hands the mic, and then we see what happens, and what happens is actually pretty amazing. So want to get that out. A challenge for you all, I have yet to see a board member post something to the hashtag #GetOutsideOSD, so calling it out publicly. I have some stickers right here. All you have to do is set a goal, share, get the good news out. There's a picture. I actually am telling on myself. I didn't put this one on the hashtag, but I took a break from the superintendent conference to climb Chelan Butte wearing a t-shirt that Joanne gave me. That was pretty cool. There's a picture recently, hashtag, of our families out on the trail being healthy. So if you'd like to get your summer adventure in, I got some stickers. We can do it proactively, but we'd love to see you get some good news out there of anything you or your families are doing. And we'll have some challenges over the summer for families and kids as well. I will love to just say, we've talked about other national awards. I think last time I was here, we had a National Coach Award. Here we have a National PIO Award. The National School Public Relations Association recognized the district with an Award of Excellence for our Summit newsletter. That is the highest award you can receive. And we also got an Award of Merit for our cultural calendar. So kudos to Ms. Brittany and her design work and the fact it's being recognized nationally. Really cool. Speaking of recognition, we got a few folks in the room to recognize. Mr. Jaden Soto, there's a picture of him, and Mr. Fries and myself was recognized by the Washington Association of School Administrators, Region 111, that's Pierce County, for a Student Leadership Award. That's for students who have played a significant role in initiatives or programs that promote access, equity, or social justice in their school or community. I was able to speak about his dignity work, his work around the student advisory program. He's done a wonderful job, and we're going to be sorry to see him go, but I'm pleased to say that he, our new student board rep, Mr. Dallas Guy, and Carly, we had a planning session a week and a half ago, and his legacy and dreams, plus what they're building on, that work will continue. New and exciting great ways, because Carly said when we asked, okay, what's the most important thing, she said, I'm going to do it all. So we're going to do it all next year and just have a hoot. I already talked about Michelle. I would like to say, shout out to Dr. Aaron Lee. He received an award or recognition for his work around equity, leading at systems level, well deserved. And board, I know you have some comments. We didn't want to do that early on because we don't want them all mushy before they have to do some work here. But this is the very last meeting for Director Steve Rabb and Director Debbie Christensen. They'll be retiring at the end of June. So if you'd like to say any comments as your trusted advisors for the last 7 years, I believe, you have a chance to do so at the end of this meeting, because graduation, we won't get a chance to do so. So happy last school board meeting to those two colleagues. Upcoming events, band concerts coming up on the 10th. That will be a full house. And when I say full, I mean the gym floor is full of students. Bleachers are full of parents. Graduation starts at 6. Ticketed entry, each senior gets 10 tickets. That'll start at 5, non-ticketed at 5:45. So anyone that wants to come can. Board, we'd love you there around 10:30 when the seniors practice walking. That'll be a time that we can practice diploma cover handing outing if you're around. And then the last day of school will be the 17th of June. Then we're off to summer break. We do a bubble blowing event and say goodbye to kids the last day. So if you want to come out and help say goodbye to our elementary students, you're more than welcome to do so. And that wraps us up for our last regular board meeting until mid-July. But happy to answer any questions that you may have. Seeing none.
My brain's not functioning that quickly.
That's
There's
a lot. It's a lot.
Congratulations, Brittany. That's a huge
that's
win.
amazing.
Huge
Yes.
win.
Thank
Very
you.
proud of that.
Brittany, Jaden, and Aaron.
Yeah, yeah, awesome. And then we've got board comments at the end for Debbie and Steve. Hang on, while I put graduation on the calendar. Busy. Sweet. I really love the mental health series with the kids, and something that has stood out to me is, I don't know when I was little, if I had that kind of vocabulary to talk about mental health. If the words that they're using and their ability to express their ideas is, it's going to be so supportive of them as they go through life. So I just want to recognize the work that the district is doing to help the kids articulate how they feel and to give voice to things that are sometimes hard and ways to reach out. That's really important. Does building a duck coop count for get outside?
It's outside.
It's your goal. We're not here to judge. We're just here to celebrate you reaching
I
your
was
goal.
gonna say building the house, does that count?
Yeah.
That's good.
More so than the duck coop.
There you go.
Especially since I have
I
a
like it.
supervisory role and I get roles. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Financial report. Oh, sorry, student rep.
Can we skip the
I
students?
can already select a few, I can
We
already.
need the students.
I think the problem is it will start with S. Superintendent, student rep, I've done that before. So I will turn it over to Jaden and Carly, and you guys can fight, or who goes first?
Well, I think I have to. Somebody didn't bring a computer. That's right. That's right. You did have to turn your computer. Anyways, we don't have a whole lot to say. End of year wrap up, kind of. I mean, everyone's ready to go. You can kind of tell in the schools that everyone's just so antsy and ready to leave. All the seniors are like counting down the days. Like every day I get a daily update. Only 3 days, only 3 school days left. It's every day. But I just wanted to talk about like the progress we made this year. And I think like personally, I grew a better understanding of everything. Like everything, and especially like my passions and what I think is like important in the school, I guess. Like that sense of belonging and that whole like our advisory, the student advisory and the getting student voice with connection with students and staff and belonging within schools, and then what belonging looks like within the community and within sports and clubs, and how to get involved in those ways. And like, it's like more than just do it. It's kind of like background work, which I think is just so interesting, and everyone's different perspectives on school. So I think like the biggest thing is just now like putting everything into action and seeing, well, what can we do to bring that all, so everyone else can have the same like revelations I've had. Like I want everyone to know what's in my mind and all of them to understand like how important those things are. Because I know a lot of the time it's like, oh, that's so stupid, or I don't want to do that, or like, why would I get involved or stuff like that. And it's once you understand, like you do it for the first time, you understand the community you're building and like the relationships you build. It's like, how do you not want that? So my goal next year is to kind of get really hands-on, get in everyone's face. Yeah. Yeah, and then I want to thank the board for the opportunities and open-mindedness through our process and constantly supporting our schools and our students directly. I've never felt like I needed to like suppress myself for what I have to say, which I think is like really important. I'm excited for next year.
Thank you for all the information.
We're excited for you next year too.
Yeah.
Thank you for not suppressing.
Right, absolutely.
I think I need yours as well.
Any comments, Jen?
Really don't have much to say. I just want to thank you guys for the opportunity you guys have given me. I've definitely learned a lot from each and every one of you guys. I do have something to say about tomorrow. Tomorrow's a pretty busy day at the high school. It's field day. So if you guys aren't doing anything, you guys want to come get some shaved ice, I definitely recommend. Come and stop by and check it out. We have like tattoos and a bunch of stuff. So it should be really fun. The weather's going to be nice too.
Yeah.
It's gonna be nice.
But yeah.
Maybe that could count as my get outside.
Yeah. Shaved ice with high school kids, perfect, I got your sticker.
Is it all day or what?
Yeah. Yeah, it's like from the start of school to the end of school.
On the field?
Yeah.
So whenever I'm going for my walk by the river, I can just stop by.
Yeah.
There's stuff going on.
Are you guys doing any designs on your caps?
I personally didn't have the money or the time to do it,
Yeah.
so no, but I know a lot of kids are. Their ideas are really creative, so
Okay, cool.
photos kicking in, but it's okay.
Very cool. All right.
Do you have
Thank
some
you.
time to do something if you have?
Thank you for your board reports.
I can pay tomorrow, so I could do something, but I don't really have the time. Yeah.
That's one thing you've been very busy this year. Very busy.
Yeah.
That's
Made it go faster, right?
You're gonna miss it, Jane.
Yeah.
Moments.
Yeah.
Yes.
Both of you, thank you very much. Now for the financial report. So back in April, here's what happened. Were there any questions? Good? Okay.
I always just like to thank Marcy because we always get such good audits, good reports, and we're just so thankful to have you here. And you figure everything out that we can't.
I keep thinking I'm gonna come up with something that you haven't provided. I'm like, okay, what's a question I could ask?
Good question.
What's a report that I don't have finger access to? I will,
It's
just
there.
wait, I'm not done yet. All right, this next report, I'm really excited to see. It's our SBA report presented by Director Rapp for the last time.
I'm going to invite a couple of my colleagues up here to just keep this party going. This is really exciting. I get the privilege of sharing with you something that in my 8 years here, at this time of the year, I've never been able to do. And one of my favorite books, dang it, I should have just started in. It's the warm-up that gets you, right? One of my all-time favorite books was written by the author Jim Collins, and it's called Good to Great, and it talks about how systems improve, right? First sentence in the book is, good is the enemy of great. And he uses several metaphors in there about system change, and one of the metaphors he uses is a flywheel. And mechanically speaking, a flywheel is a weighted wheel that sits, when it's sitting, it's very difficult to get it moving. It takes a lot of energy and inertia to get it moving. But eventually when it starts moving, it actually creates its own inertia. So you have to work at it really hard to get it moving, and then eventually when it gets moving, if you reach out and try to stop it, it'll rip your arm out of the socket. Metaphorically, the analogy that he uses is about systems, and how sometimes when you're trying to change a system that sat for a long time in a certain way, it can take a long time, and it's very, very difficult to get it to move. But when it starts to move and it starts to pick up the energy from that movement, hang on for the ride. And so I want to share with you some data that we have that shows that that flywheel is moving. And then I'm going to ask Dr. Westover to speak to one element of that, particularly relative to literacy. And then Dr. Lee to talk about how what he's already doing, K-12, throughout our entire system, getting that flywheel to keep going. When we look at the SBA data, we can look at it a couple of different ways. We can look at it by grade level. So how did the fifth graders from last year, how did the fifth graders this year do? So what's that? Those are two different cohorts of kids, but we look at it by grade level. That's one way to do it. Another way is from cohort. So if you were in fifth grade last year, how did you do in sixth grade this year? So those are based on the same group of kids. Student growth percentiles, and what that is that's taking how I performed this year in the particular tested this year, and then how I performed next year in comparison to that same group that performed the same way I did. That's a student growth percentile. We don't have those now, and so we're not going to talk about those. And then we're always looking at our comparison to the state average. We don't have that. We're not going to do that today because that data isn't there. And speaking of the data, it is preliminary, which means it isn't finalized yet. But here's what I can say with a certain level of confidence, and if I'm wrong, on July 1st you can put it back on me. Which is, when we first started looking at it about over a week ago, and then I monitored it over the course of the days. When we first started looking at it, for example, PTR's math scores were in. And then when PTR scores math were in, it changed the data a little bit, but not so significantly that what you would see tonight, you would be shocked by a week from now. So it's pretty comparable from that. So looking at our ELA grade level data, so this is how third graders last year did this year, and fourth graders, and so on and so forth, and you can see that we've got it built by the kind of the goldish color is last year, and the blue is this year, and the bar that's the tallest is the improvement. So if you go from left to right, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh, and eighth grade, look at that. Yeah. The average growth last year of our grade levels was 1.6%. This year, we calculate with the data that we have right now, it's 7%. That's impressive.
Yes.
And then our cohorts. So this is last year's third graders as fourth graders this year, last year's fourth graders as fifth graders this year. I'm not even going to be able to finish saying that. Look at that.
That's amazing.
And one of the things I think that is, we know that reading is the foundation for all learning. And one of the things that Dr. Westover has added to our team is some significant expertise in early literacy. And for Erin and I, who are secondary guys trying to lead this process, really relying heavily on her to help interpret what this means. So she's really leaned into this work with our elementary principals, and I'd like to have her speak to What is the stuff that's been done around literacy this year and what's already being framed for next year?
Sure. You gotta show the pretty picture.
Pretty pictures coming up. Oh, the notables. Sorry, I jumped. I don't even know my own slides. No, you come on. Okay, these are the highlights. 6 of 7 grade levels showed improvement. 4th grade, 9.5%, 5th grade, 10%, 6th grade, 13%. Significant, statistically and otherwise. 5 of 6 grade level cohorts showed growth. 5th grade, 14.5%, 6th, 11%, and 4th grade cohort is 11%. The 5th grade cohort, 18%, and is above the state average the last time I checked. They get to take that one home. PTR showed improvement in every single grade level. Everyone? 6%, 8%, almost 16% improvement in 3rd grade from last year. And to speak to the literacy side of it, with the picture of Scarborough's rope.
Sure. So early on, well, just to kind of back up a little bit, when I came to the district, I heard that we had just adopted bookworms just recently, and we were using it, and the word that I heard the most is it's scripted and it's explicit. And I was like, oh, that's great, that's fantastic. And, you know, I just observe and monitor and kind of have conversations with principals a lot about what the data is looking like. And I just started asking more and more questions about what actually does bookworms look like and what do the lessons look like when it comes to early literacy. And what we kind of came to the realization of is that perhaps the early literacy, the foundational reading skills in bookworms weren't explicit enough. Everything else is fantastic. We've got kids in real books, reading real stories, engaging in conversations about text. That's awesome, but we needed more when it came to how do we teach kids how to read. And so we put together, we had some teachers come together and the principals, and we said, how are we going to solve this problem? And we found a curriculum that was developed at the University of Florida. They have a literacy institute, and they developed a program called UFLA, University of Florida Literacy Institute. Okay. And we brought that in mid-year, which is really weird, right? Like, we don't typically do stuff like that, but we thought that the need was significant. So we brought it in, we worked with the teachers, and we developed a plan for how to implement that for the rest of the year for our kindergarten through 2nd graders. And the teachers are super excited about it. That first week, all we could hear is the kids love it. They can't wait till we do UFly. And kids are engaged, and the instruction is very explicit. And then we're going to continue that into next year for our kindergarten through 3rd graders, and continue to make sure that all of our kids by the end of 3rd grade know how to read.
And the work done this spring for next year in the master schedules.
Oh yes, sorry. We also looked at in order to fit in UFly, we had to say, how are we going to fit this in and still keep the fidelity of implementation of all of our other curricula. And so we put together some kind of guidelines for our principals to use to develop their master schedules that kept all of those things intact. And we went back, I did that, like here are the guidelines based on research and what we've seen in other districts. And I said, go back and see if you can get this to work, because a master schedule at elementary is pretty hard. And so they went back to see if they could get it to work. They have, so we were going to work out kinks, but we really didn't need to. They've got it to work, so we're going to have a master schedule that also supports that. It also ensures that kids are still having that full access to bookworms.
In conversations as recent as today with principals about what does that look like in 3rd grade as well, since the focus was K2 last year.
Yeah, so our 3rd graders haven't had as much explicit instruction, so we still see some gaps in 3rd graders that we probably, well, it's our current 2nd graders that will be 3rd graders next year. And so we typically, with UFly, you would teach at K2, and then in 3rd grade, we go back to full bookworms. You wouldn't need it in 3rd grade, but what we're seeing is there's still some significant gaps for those current 2nd graders that we need to fill as we move forward. So we are going to modify their schedule to look similar to 2nd grade, still not taking out much at all, and provide those explicit instruction at core, and then intervention as needed. Do you see that youth life for the third graders continuing throughout the end of their third grade year?
So what we talked about doing is really monitoring the data and determining kind of a phase plan. At some point, we're gonna have enough kids caught up. It looks like there's 3 major components. We assessed all of the third graders. There's 3 major components of foundational reading skills that most of them are missing. And so we're gonna focus instruction at the beginning of the year on those lessons that cover that. We're gonna track data and at the middle of the year in January, look at it and see if we can go back and not need to continue doing that. So we're hopeful that we'll be able to fade it so that we go back to a regular schedule mid-year.
Which of the 3 are you?
She would ask me that. I would have to look at I would have to look. Yeah.
I'm just wondering, so everybody will get it or only the kids that need it?
So when we looked at the data for third grade, and well, for all kids in K2, it's core. So there's lessons in youth life that are kindergarten lessons, there's first grade lessons and second grade lessons. Kids there will get it as part of core. For third grade, we are going to start at part of core for those 3 components that we found that most of our third graders or will be third graders are missing. And then after that, we'll move back to intervention only.
So what do you think has led to such a big growth in the 5th to 6th and the 4th to 5th? Because they didn't get that, did they? Are you doing something else there?
No, they didn't get that. No. So I would say probably our multi-tiered systems of support. The last few years we've used some explicit instruction for reading with those students, so maybe that has contributed to that increase.
And it's not uncommon when you implement a new curriculum like we've done at elementary, that it takes a few years for that to actually show. They even talk about when you first initiate, there could be a dip because it's changed and teachers don't understand and whatnot, but once the wheels start turning on that, then that can start taking root.
So that was the curriculum before that even then?
Well,
Fifth graders.
Fifth graders have had bookworm. We've had bookworm for 3 years.
Yeah.
But we've also had explicit instruction and tier support. So
That's
we use
Yeah.
SIPs and 95 RAP is the other program that we use
Yeah.
when students are behind. And those programs started last school year.
Okay. It's nice to see that continued growth because it shows that both of the curriculums are well, everything they're using is actually.
Well, if you look at it, you're like to talk to Alicia.
So I remind you, we've had 3 years of bookworm plus 1 of piloting.
No.
No,
So
three years of
this is year
implementation,
3.
yeah.
Okay.
Plus the pilot.
Add some things, some new analysis tools this year that are more tightly aligned to standard, tighter inquiry cycles aligned to those outcomes, and we kind of talked to you about last May what that would look like this year. I'd add major structural change, first year of 2 equal-sized K-5 elementary schools, so reduced transitions, and also teacher looping with students. Some of those teachers moved up, and so I don't know that you could unpack and say exactly what, because the system's been on change overhaul, but we're seeing it. So some combination of all of them, there's probably more I haven't thought of, but there's a variety of things at play, and something in that combination is working.
I don't think in all of my years at Ording I've seen this much growth. I really don't think I have.
So, this is on the, I can't think of the correct name for it, the SBA pre-test things. Have people been using that?
Yes.
Well, that would help a lot because then the kids would be more familiar with the type of assessment.
This is the first year of focused interim assessment blocks, and what you recall, maybe board from November, every school improvement plan had at least a triangulated set of data, and one of those data sets was student voice, another was some sort of data analysis aligned to SBA, which is third grade through 10. So yes, those are in play, and part of what Dr. Lee will share at the end, and the foreshadow is that we're continuing on a greater and even deeper level, because part of this was just new.
Yeah.
Teachers were learning about iReady this year, so the deeper we get in this work, we hope we see improved success.
I think that's an important thing to note in this data is the growth in the teachers as well.
I do too, and the coaching and everything that you guys have done, because I believe the teachers are actually following it much closer than they were before, and do actually.
You guys are spoiling the.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
I know, they've got.
They did your work.
Well, let me jump into the next piece, which is taking a look at the math. And so when we look at the math grade levels, you can see similar results, where the green shows the difference from last year to this year. And as you can see there, with the exception of one grade level, and that bump isn't much, there's growth in every single grade level. And when we look at that as cohorts, you can see the same thing. I want to go back, so I forgot this is the part that we were pretty excited about, which was our average growth last year was in negative 5.2%. And we've kind of turned that into the green now at this point, so that's pretty exciting. And then the grade level cohort. So when we look at the notables about that, 6 of 7 grade levels showed improvement. 10th grade, 8th grade, 5th grade, 13% improvement. PTR, 2 of their 3 grades showed the improvement. And then the cohorts, 4 of 6, 8th grade at almost 5%. Both 3rd going to 4th and 4th going to 5th at OES showed growth last year. And it's just really, really exciting to do that. And in terms of just the flywheel is being pushed right now as we're talking. And some of the very things that you highlighted that were intuitive to you, Dr. Lee's going to talk a little bit about the work that he's been doing to make sure that that stuff goes forward.
Steve, and if you don't know, no problem, I'll be curious about this later. What's the story around the 7th graders? They were below, they didn't show the growth that the other grades, 7th graders, right, I was wondering about that. But both in ELA and math, they didn't see comparable growth.
Yeah.
So I'm just curious what the story is around there. And I absolutely, 7th graders are a thing in of themselves, but both ELA and math.
So math, the 7th graders as a cohort grew over last year. So if you look at that line from 6th grade to 7th grade, so there was a jump for the 7th grade.
7th to 8th, sorry.
7th and 7th.
ELA, yeah.
And 7th to 8th, there was a jump, there was a growth.
And I'm looking at ELA.
ELA.
Cohort.
Yeah, okay.
Sorry.
Yeah, that's all right, yeah.
Yeah, I guess it
There we
wasn't
go.
7th graders on both.
So 6th to 7th, and then 7th to 8th, there was a drop, and then you were also showing at the 7th grade, there's a drop. Yeah. I don't know.
Just, yeah, no worries. I'm just curious
Yeah.
to see growth in all of the other groups.
Yeah, but I think to your point, and what Dr. Lee will share a little bit about is we are getting closer to the I don't know not being the answer, but here's exactly what, and here's what we're going to do about it, being the right answer, particularly as we dig into these core competencies and ongoing data assessment that is actually tightly aligned to those outcomes. So it's a great question, a little bit of a foreshadow of what's coming next.
Yeah, thank you.
Well, first of all, I want to say thank you, board, for all of the things that you've supported us and the patience you've had. When I think about the new curriculum, one thing you didn't mention is we've had MPSS TOSAs that have done an incredible job. I mean, Amy and Whitney are just amazing. We've also hired some leadership, some principals that I'm telling you are the best group of people I've ever worked with. And so if you think about, like, combine that with the new curriculum, you really think about, for the first time, I think in the history that I've been in Nordic, we have a diagnostic tool that really is diagnostic and can tell us where kids are, where they aren't. That I just want to spend a moment and say thank you very much for that and your patience. And I'm kind of jealous that Steve got to present all the good data. He said that in our meeting. And Debbie's like, well, I got 2 words for you. What was it?
No, I said 3 words.
Oh, 3 words.
I said life isn't fair.
But here's what I say to
Super
that.
support from HR.
Yes. No, thanks. He retiring. What I'd say to that is that none of that would be possible without Steve Rapp. I mean, this is something that he has done an amazing job in laying a foundation for us and moving things forward. It's not easy to get growth. It just isn't. And it is very much like turning an aircraft carrier around, isn't it? Right? And it would not be possible if he was not here. And so that's the 8 years you've done this job, it's showing up right here. So I'll say thank you.
Checks in the mail.
Cash.
Cash.
Of course. And so here's what, the other thing, I'm always moved by the board because every time we talk about kids, you cheer up, right? And I think Carly, like, by the way, do you really want everyone to see what's inside your head? But I think about, like, Carly, she has the same value as the board, which is we really want to reach every single kid. And Jaden, I met with you the first time when you were a freshman in high school, and we talked about dignity, and you bought it right away. You were super quiet about it, and it took me a while to get out of you. But you bought it right away. And so I think about the conversations we've had, not only in our work sessions together, but I think that you've all been brought to tears on multiple occasions of the great things that kids do. In fact, I don't think we've done really a board presentation at the school level where I haven't seen one of you, or maybe all of you, like tear up just with kids talking, right? And so when we talk about data, it's a huge celebration. And that data is, that growth it's amazing. Don't get me wrong, what I want to say next is this, is that you want every single kid, and I mean every single one, without exception, to pass. So unless those numbers are 100%, we have to do something about it, right? And so we've done some great things, and there's a flywheel. There's that. And I think this is a harbinger for things to come. But I think the alignment of values that we have in this district is unparalleled, right? We've always loved kids, and there's always been that relationship. Our data has always said that relationships are number one. It's our biggest strength, right? And our board reflects that. Even with Carly and Jaden, the two of you, that's something I've seen you work with kids on a regular basis and know that value, right? And so the question is, how do we keep that data moving forward? Well, there's a graphic here, there's a lot of stuff on that. But on the right-hand side is the 4 PLC questions. And if you've been in education for any amount of time, you've seen those 4 PLC questions. It's all about this concept of teacher inquiry. We're trying to really think about, like, how do you use data? How do you use, like, information in a way that makes you a better teacher and the kids will learn better, right? And so those 4 questions are all aimed at that. On the left-hand side is really where Core Collaborative and the direction that we are going in is really thinking about how do we put students in that process, right? Students have to have their own inquiry, just like teachers do. Now, I was paying attention to that video that was a great video, by the way, Brittany, about the students talking about their social and emotional health. Now, I've been around for 30 plus years. I've never heard kids use that kind of language. Ever, right? And so kids have changed, and the expectations of students has changed. Like, we have to change along with them, and we have to put them in the driver's seat. And by that, I mean we have to work together with kids, or they won't learn. They just will not learn. They will vote with their feet. And by that, I don't mean not just coming. I mean, they'll show up, they'll be compliant, but at the end of the day, they're not going to learn. And so that left-hand side, student inquiry, is what the Core Collaborative is really about. And it's the work we're laying the foundation for right now. Now, I'll say the last 2 weeks, we've really spent a lot of time with teachers looking at what is important. Now, a while back, I said there's something like 300 standards. Where that? I said, Jaden, and by the way, there's tests because you're graduating. I said, Jaden, do you have all of those like mastered? And you said, no. There's no way, right? And so what we have to do is we have to think about what is our priority, what is absolutely essential. Because those standards are written for everything, and we can't possibly do everything. And so for the last 2 weeks, I've met with teacher leaders, K through 10. And we've sat for entire days. Elementary's been meeting after school. And we're defining exactly what is essential. And we're doing it through the lens on that left-hand side of students. And so when we talk about standards, we're not just using the standard language. We're talking about what's the big idea around that. Like what is the essential part of what we need to do together? So that later, as we start the school year, we start working directly with students and do inquiry alongside them. And it's the only way we're going to get past the data we just showed you, right? And that data is great, and it's a great celebration, but it's not good enough. And so we're going to keep pushing forward with that. And so when we meet, probably in August, I'm going to lay that out for you and show you what teachers have been working on. And they're very proud of it, and they're excited about the work. And I got to tell you, out of my 30-plus year career, it's the best work I've ever done, just with teachers. And I haven't done it. It's the teachers that have done it. And it's just such amazing work. And I'm really, really proud of it. And I can't wait to show you that. So the direction we're really going in is really around student agency and really thinking about how do we define standards in a way that is clustered around these ideas that are bigger ideas, that they translate beyond school. And so it's the things that Carly and Jaden, they really ask those kind of questions with kids. Well, that's what kids are really interested in. And honestly, that's what lasts. That's what lasts beyond graduation. And Jaden, all the stuff you learned in school is going to be completely valuable, right?
Yeah.
But, I mean, think about the stuff that you really learned that you take with you forever. I mean, a lot of that probably wasn't in the standards, right? So I'll miss you, Jaden. I mean, 4 years, man. Oof. But we're looking forward to the future. We really are, right, Carly? We got this. We got this. So yeah, it's the direction is we're taking the systems that Steve has been building for ever. I say years, but it's forever. And really taking and putting a point on those and really thinking about how can we really move forward together with kids.
One of the things that I've witnessed over the last couple of weeks with Aaron working with the teachers, Aaron and I had this experience before when we were looking at curriculum and before we adopted Bookworms, we were working with both math and ELA teachers. This was pre-COVID. And one of the things that Aaron was pushing for during that time is if we're going to pick a curriculum, let's help the teachers understand what the standards mean. And we discovered that there was probably, we were operating off the assumption because they went through teacher school and taught for a while, they really do understand the standards. We found out that that's not necessarily true. And when the light bulbs were popping on, when they had the chance to engage in it, it was so exciting and encouraging. I've seen that very same thing over the last couple of weeks with the work that he's been doing. And with the 2 board members that were former teachers, just to the point what he's saying, there's so many things to teach and you only have so much time. How powerful is it that you will have a tool and you'll have the information to know if I've only got this much time, I actually know what I need to do to fill that time with to make the most impact on kids. That's the work he's doing with these teachers. And they're really excited about it. And he's putting stuff in their hands. He created a bunch of information around the standards that they could work with so that we're not wasting time trying to create that from the ground up, and then put it in their hands and say, okay, work with this. Tell me what you think. Tell me what you learned. And so they're making adjustments to this work and learning through the process along the way. And the energy that's being created by that is pretty impressive. And we talk about agency. These teachers are lending and developing a voice in what is taught in a way that hasn't happened up to this point. And that's going to be extremely powerful moving forward.
Yeah, and I think that there's something I've thought a lot about. Like, I would put our staff up against any staff in the world. I really would. I know I'm biased. I get it. But, I mean, the reality of the work that's been happening in this district with our teachers, it's unparalleled. And they're amazing, amazing people. And I'm so honored and privileged I get to work with them. It's not like I have to. But our leaders have been side by side with me, and they're amazing as well. And so I have everyone on their back. So if anyone says they're not doing their job, I'm telling you right now, they all are. They are. And I'll back that up forever. They're great people. And so our kids are amazing. Our staff's amazing. We have 100% in this. I know we do. We have it. We're going to get there. It's going to be a lot of work, though. And I think that we have the right focus, which you'll learn more and more about as we get into next year. I think you're going to be proud of our staff and our students, because I know I am really, really proud of them. So.
Well, I can speak for all of us that we've been wanting to see notable improvements for a while now. And so thank you. Thank you for your focus and your work and elevating students and staff throughout the process. I find it interesting that you thanked us for our patience. I flippantly had said, give me 3 years, and I flippantly said 2. And we're not at 2, and we're already seeing this growth. So I am super excited about what you've accomplished here.
Remember during our bird work section, I said, you all are, remember this? It's a quiz. I said, you're all instructional leaders. Every one of you. Jaden, Carly, everybody, we're all instructional leaders. And that's the only way we're going to move forward with this. And so I mean that sincerely, not just patience, but the support has been amazing.
What more would you like from us?
Just anything, if you have any questions, or...
What more would you like from us?
I think the work that we're doing, just the pathway that we're on, is powerful. And it gets better and richer as we go. And I think that continued support, and even the questions are making us better along the way, but that partnership. And I've never felt the entire time I've been here anything but true support from every one of you. And that's what we need, that continued support along the way. It's not that you give us a free pass, and I know that. I know that we have to show growth, and we have to do the right things. And Ed pushes pretty hard against high expectations, and that really comes from the board as well. I'm not saying lower those expectations, I'm saying let's raise them 100%, that's what we need. But that continued support is absolutely really, really important.
Thank you for sharing that with us. I can't wait to see, this is preliminary, it looked phenomenal. I'm excited. Can't wait to see the final, but we're celebrating with you on that. Thank you.
And while you guys raise those expectations, there's a cookie over there with my name on it.
Now Aaron can have one because he's hurt.
I thought you wanted, because I'm good.
You get support from HR, you get support.
You know he dishes it out.
Aaron's a good one.
Oh my goodness. Good stuff.
I think every once in a while, you just get also lucky that a group connects. And when you see that connection, big things happen. And you guys have connected.
Yep.
Good team. Goodness gracious. Okay. Cool preliminary results. I'm reading the very next item on the agenda. And it's first read of policy considerations. Primarily markups, a couple new documents. I haven't seen questions come forward, so I think we're okay moving these forward to second reading.
You're pretty good, by the way.
Next item up is a bunch of field trips,
Yeah, it was.
personnel, vouchers, so can I get a motion, please?
I move to approve items 1 through 7 on the consent agenda.
Thank you. Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes.
I'm just so glad that we get to do field trips because kids love field trips. And just like even like Northwest Trek. I mean, kids love that and to have that opportunity to do that. I just remember how excited they were. Oh, we're having a field trip tomorrow. So
Yeah. I'm glad we did that. I'm glad we got back to field trips.
Yes.
I was worried about that for a little bit.
Thank heavens for PTA.
Yes, very
Yes.
much so. And support from the community. It's really, our PTA members, very good. You timed this just right. SBA improvements. And now we've got a motion on the table. Or now asking for a motion on the table. All right, so the first item for action this evening is superintendent's contract 2025 through 2028.
I move to approve the superintendent's contract for the years 2025 through 2028.
second.
Thank you. All in favor? Aye. Motion passes. Thank you.
You're welcome.
The second item up for action is CTE conditional certificates. No presentation this evening. I think we've been down this path a number of times, so I will entertain a motion.
I move to approve the request for issuance of Porting Middle School CTE conditional certificate renewals by OSPI for the 2025-26 school year.
Thank you. And a second?
Second.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes. All right. Next item is for discussion. And this is board focused. So this is our NASDA directors survey, annual survey that we do each year. And it's helpful to calibrate us. So thank you. I think what I'd like to do is open it for comments.
I firstly would like to thank both Margot and Joanne for still submitting the survey. It's not exactly a quick one, but I appreciate your opinions on what's going on, even knowing you may or may not
be here for the next term. So I just kind of wanted to say that, and I was pleased to see we all mostly think the same. There was probably just one that I thought was kind of funny, that we didn't, I think, did we have one vote for everything on question number 27? Communicating our rationale for decisions to the community.
Yeah.
We all don't see or understand that the same. So I'm wondering if we can have a little more discussion on that one.
I think that we do a good job of letting the community know what's going on. I'm not 100% sure that we give them a good rationale as to why we're making the decisions that we're making. For myself anyway, I feel like I could be better at explaining why we did this or why we did that, or, because sometimes they'll like have a question, why are they doing that or what? Well, if we explain it correctly, then they won't have to ask those questions. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. I'm not talking, I guess, as one-on-one with people. I guess I'm talking more as a board. Like we're changing this, and this is why. Like I don't know. Maybe that would just be my thought. And I think I don't think it's terrible that the job we're doing. I just think I could do it a little better.
I agree. And I think that the one thing I came away with is that we've been really good at communicating the rationale for decisions when it came to facilities.
Yes. Yes.
But maybe some of that other stuff
just
doesn't get communicated quite as clearly. I don't know. And maybe it does and I just miss it.
Maybe, yeah.
But I think I still rated this pretty good because most of the stuff we're talking about is based on facilities these days. But
Hot topic. I know I rated us as this is an area we can improve as well. I think we're very strong at communicating the information, but the backstory, the why, and I think as a board, we'll make a decision and we are on to the next hot decision.
Right.
Or the next thing that's important on our agenda, or the next thing. And I actually had a conversation over the weekend with a very well-connected, engaged community member with kids in the district, and we happened to be talking about bonds. And he said, we failed the bond, and then you turned around and redid the turf. And I'm like, well, we explained why, and why we needed to do this, and even how we paid for it.
Right.
By robbing Peter to pay Paul. And we had communicated that, and he's like, I didn't know anything about that. And I'm like, how did you not get that when you are literally in our buildings all the time? So I think that was a conversation I had after Scoring is here, but I think sometimes
they just don't.
or we're quick to say, oh, here's why, and then we're moving on. And maybe we could spend a little bit more time communicating the thinking behind that. I don't know, I think it's a great area for us.
I think so too. And I think maybe, with the newsletter that we put out, there could be a section sometimes from the board explaining, because it seems like a lot of people read that. And just if it's a decision that we made, maybe we can put the rationale in there, people might see it.
Or a why page on the website.
Yeah.
I don't know. At least something to refer people to.
Yes.
Because, Brittany does such a fantastic job of putting all that stuff out there and the little video clips and the things that you see. So maybe people are just missing some things here and there too. I don't know, but.
Yeah, I'm not sure if we can solve that one, but if we're mindful of it as we move forward, and even though you guys are off the board, like if we don't communicate something, be like, hey, hey, this needs more.
Yeah.
This needs more. That was even as president, I kind of called myself out on that one.
But I do feel overall that most of them are really positive. I think everyone does a good job.
It is nice kind of doing this survey. It's focused on our job responsibilities as directors, and to be able to confidently say, we have a strong relationship with our superintendent. We
Yes.
communicate well as a board. We have students at the focus of the work that we do. It's nice to validate that we're checking the important boxes for our role.
The one other one I can't find it right now, but it was the one on, do we look at teacher
The evaluation.
evaluations and make decisions by that? And
Is that 36?
is it
Have
36?
policies for evaluating
yeah.
staff based on student success.
And I've never known us to do that. This district, I don't know if it's a thing other places, but I mean, I was a little surprised to see it in there because I've never noticed it.
The way it's addressed in the evaluation, because you can't judge one teacher by their class, because, I mean, one year you could have,
Right.
like 1 year I actually had 80% of my class was intensive at the beginning of the year, you know, just the way that it rolled out. But the way that it is looked at is your PLC has group data and you show growth. At least this is the way it was a few years ago when I did it, so you can tell me if you're not doing it the same way. So your PLC looks at the growth of your class and the class as a whole, and so you can present growth data, which isn't necessarily that they're up to standards, but that they have grown, because that was always something that was discussed in evaluation.
And I think the other thing too is, because I think that one got me a little bit too, but I went back and looked at the actual question, and it is, do we have policies that require? And I believe we do have those policies in our board policies, so it's not that we are actually reviewing the student or the teacher evaluation, but we do have those policies there that's our superintendent's job.
And if you were to look at the evaluation itself, you would see that that was in there, which is the policy decides on, helps to decide on the evaluation tool. So the state tool does include that. And I always felt it very appropriate. As a teacher, I felt it was an appropriate one.
I look at the do you have a policy? And I read those like, yes, the policy exists, but do we have accountability on that policy? Are we, are we following policy to the best, like as it's been written, like even just doing things like checking in annually on our reports? Our whole calendar is built around policy and things we're responsible for doing. Our superintendent's evaluation, like all of that, there's structure and policy in place for that accountability, and we stick to that. We stick to that. So that's how I interpret those. They're not, we just don't have a document collecting documents. It's actually elevated.
Yeah, well, and I'm sure that principals, if there is that member that is continually not showing student success, then that is what this is talking about, and then they do something, to help them out.
I think that all the questions get grouped into the different standards. In standard 3, do we create conditions district-wide for student staff success? There are so many different facets that go into that.
Yeah.
Facilities is included in that. And that's the standard that has had the most discrepancy in director scores historically. Like you look at, there's lots of black and blue, not always green. Yeah, but this year, I feel like we've improved. We've improved on previous years. And
it was kind of interesting to me because the things that I personally have been honing in on have to do with teacher voice and community voice, and that was kind of showing up here. And one of the things I've said before is I'd like to hear sometimes from the teachers themselves about how, I really appreciated, what's the 8th grade science teacher that came
Oh,
last
Oh,
year's
okay.
curriculum. Yeah, I really appreciate the way he talked about the standards and how that was working in his classroom. I'd like to hear some of, not just from Atosa, because they're not doing it in their room, from the teachers themselves that are doing the curriculum in the room and how is that working out for them. And you're gonna also then hear some, they're gonna get some more agency. They're gonna take away more information about us too, because they might be coming here presenting for the first time. Like the science teacher, we haven't seen him before, so that was, you know, and maybe the same thing with the community and PTA. I mean, like PTA didn't present this year, did they? In the past, sometimes they come and present it. So some of those opportunities should just open up a few of those so that their voice comes out, but when their voice comes out also, we're recognizing them and they feel more involved. And because the communication is a two-way street. And so that's the one thing that I would like to see us working on. We're doing a fantastic job of making sure that everybody is supported. So I'd like to hear from
Teachers too. For sure.
The other one I was looking at too was the evaluation of updating technology. And I don't feel like sometimes we give technology enough, I don't know what the word is, I don't know that we evaluate it enough and look at what they need.
Annually.
Yes,
It happens annually, there's a report on that.
but I feel
There's a
like,
policy that we review that annually.
I feel like sometimes it's like, so where are we, you know, with our, you know, just wondering if are we where we should be, you know, with technology, or what, you know, looking at, you know, different
And
programs.
when I saw that, I also wondered, so is anybody asking, how is this working out in the classroom? Once again, you know, like.
Kevin and I were talking about how hot it is right now for our equipment. But yeah, to your point, like we have a technology report, we resource and budget for technology resources. And that would be a question for Ed and his teams to determine, is it at the level that we need it to be in order to support student learning and what we're trying to accomplish here. So
I think it's going to be really important, especially with AI, that we keep on top of technology and really stay with it, because we're going to be coming into some.
good news, we're going to join your IT committee and provide you input on it. Not me, I don't think I understand.
I was gonna say,
Really?
Joanne to keep going.
Call Joanne.
Tommy, if you need anything.
No, it is an important question, and it is an important service that we have to provide, not only our staff, but our students as well, and so I think it's important.
And I love the fact that we're trenching to the new portables, because I do know that at OAS, I mean, we had a ghost hallway, we had portables that sometimes, because it's so old, there were frequently times when things were hit and miss, you know. That's why we called our hallway the ghost hallway, because you couldn't be sure when it worked and when it didn't.
I'm definitely gonna throw myself on the sword here, but because I don't understand a lot of the technology needs and what it does, I'm a user of them at the most basic level. That I rated ourselves pretty good, because I know we review it once a year, it just flies over my head. And so I am very much taking advantage of that supportive role with our superintendent. He knows what we're talking about. And trusts that they will do the right thing. But it's just one of those things that I do not know enough about, but I do know it's on our policy, and we did review that in the calendar.
I think it's been more evident to me just because I've been studying in different districts, and and I see like some, you know, and it's not that our fault, it's because they have more money, they have bonds, they have, you know, it's just, I just want to make sure that we're at least somewhere, And Kathy's right, if we have it in the classroom, you know, what are we doing with it? You know? Are we using it?
Well, I have to be frank, I kind of go when it gets to survey time. Because I want to stay focused on the work and the students and our team, and but this is helpful every year to learn a little bit from it.
Yeah, it is. What do you guys think about, do we communicate the expectations for the superintendent to our community?
That was the other ones that I saw too, because, I mean, we all know it, we review it, we all know, but is that communicated somewhere?
Sometimes I just want to say it out. That this is all the thing, this is what he does, and this is, you know, it's not like he just, you know what I mean? It's like maybe sharing more of what he actually, you know, what his
For me, and when you hear people talking, I mean, we all know that a superintendent of a public school is tasked with the improvement of student learning outcomes. And I feel like, is that like, is it a rhetorical question? Is that optional?
What does that look like? I mean, like all the different pieces that go into that.
Yeah.
Well, and the other thing is that, I mean, even when we do communicate, I mean, how many times has somebody come to you about something and you said, have you contacted Ed?
Yeah.
Please go in and contact Ed. And then when you go back to them, did they follow through? No.
Right.
Well, you didn't do anything about it.
Well, I just think that, honestly, there's so many pieces to a superintendent's job. It's learning outcomes, it's dealing with staff problems, it's dealing with parents, it's, you know what I mean? There's so much. And just sometimes putting those expectations out there so people can see this, you know, this is a lot.
The role of the board, the role of the superintendent, the role. We talk about the roles, you know, there's goals established and accountability behind it each year, but maybe communicating another role.
It almost sounds like you're looking to post a job description.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is
I don't know, I guess I don't know what that looks like. Like, what would it look like if we were doing that differently?
Yeah.
And what do other districts do?
I don't know.
Maybe we'll explore that this year.
Yeah.
I like our current focus on the outcomes.
Yeah.
That is, I think, what the community is most important to them, with the outcomes.
And it's not, doesn't have anything to do with the, because Ed is quite visible. So, you know, it's,
I just think people don't realize, if you're not in education, or they don't know all the jobs of a superintendent or a principal, you know what I mean? It's like, they don't get it, they just don't.
It's like another country.
Yeah.
Literally another country. Okay, any more comments on the survey?
Not for me.
Okay.
Thank you for the time to do that.
Yeah. I don't know if we came away with any directives, you know, that we've agreed on, but I do want to keep talking about it. Okay.
I think we just at least see where our areas are of improvement.
Yeah.
And what we
I
can.
look for opportunities to do it a little bit better.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I don't want to create work for anyone. I want the work that's focused on
Yes.
kids to continue, so.
And this one, this stuff is kind of our work, not.
Yeah, right, exactly, yeah. Good discussion though, thank you. All right, next up, board comments. Yeah, I was just gonna do that. Debbie and Steve, would you join us?
All right.
Okay, well, I have to say something, Steve. So this week, I subbed at White River and I taught with a teacher. And she says, "Oh, you are from Orting?" And I said, "Yeah." And she goes, "I did an internship with Michelle Curry and it was amazing. It was so amazing." She was going on and on about it. And I thought, And then I was talking to a lot of teachers that did their first year trainings with you, and see, I don't like to do it because I don't want to cry. And they loved you, you know, and so you don't realize sometimes the impact that a teacher's going to say that about you. You know, oh, I had my, you know, meetings with Steve, and he helped me so much, and he was so good. And you really do have that reputation around the district. I mean, people love you, and the teachers love you. And so, even though you're leaving a big impact. So I wanted you to know that. And Debbie, thank you so much for all of your, I mean, I know your job is a hard one. And you deal with a lot of different people, and you put in so much time and helped us out in so many things. So I just really want to also thank you for everything that you've done.
I'll never forget first coming down here as a board director, and you two talking about your first board meeting after you retired, and texting each other, what the heck did we get ourselves into here?
Yes.
And I just kind of chuckled to myself, and as I sat in some of those board meetings that had been very well cared for since that point, I think, because they didn't go that long. What you two brought to me personally, the passion I would always hear from you, Steve, as you would talk about the things that move you and that drive you, and that flywheel that you have set in motion now, that the rest of the people here are going to pick up and see forward. That was inspirational to me. A little long-winded at times, maybe. You know, like, that's that passion.
Just probably an off day, I'm just saying.
That's where the passion comes from. Thorough is the word.
A lot of ways to describe it. Long-winded is probably what I do most.
But you're always funny, so it's not wrong.
I actually just love those long-winded moments. I've learned so much from you as you talk about things, and so I just want to thank you for that. You will be dearly missed, of course. And Debbie, we had the opportunity to have a kind of private conversation at one point, and you left for a year, and I'm so grateful that you came back when we brought Ed on board. I think there's something about you that just makes people comfortable, and in your role in HR, I don't think that there could be a better personality trait, human trait than that. I think I'm gonna miss you like crazy.
Yes, you too.
Dang it.
I think there's something when you get to retire, and I'm so excited for you both and congratulate you on a long, successful career. But we always thank you for your service. But I don't want to say that lightly, because I feel that work in education is all about the service. Service to our students, our community, our staff, and there is so much sacrifice and heart that goes into that, that I'm very grateful that we've had you both here in the district, and that you have been able to leave a very lasting, important impact on our district. We are better because you were here. Are here, we're here. We'll be here for another little bit. Both of you do incredibly important work, so thank you.
It's been 3 years that I've been on the board, so, and it's, both of you have been awesome to work with. Growing relationships that I get to see, and I get to see the passion that you have and what you bring, and you know, we're in the workshops, and I'm teamed up with you, and I get to see a different side, and I'm like, oh yeah, this is awesome. So that's that, and then with Debbie, yeah, I mean, you just been phenomenal to be and information that comes. And like I say, it's only 3 years for me, so I know much more for the others. But yeah, no, you'll be missed greatly.
I have to tell you a funny Matt Carlson story. I didn't know you and I'm sitting like that, we're in a meeting and you're speaking, and I said, did he just say that? And I said, oh, he goes, oh yeah, isn't it great? Don't worry, you'll be so surprised. He's like, he'll just let you know how he feels. But it was just funny because, Matt's funny anyway, and then he was like, oh yeah, he's great.
I'd like to know what you're going to do with, my dad called it the gap. During the day, you've had the opportunity to work with some really cool people. How will you use your retirement time?
Well, today I volunteered to come back in September with the Pierce County Safety Group to facilitate a workshop in this room. I sent out a message to a middle school principal.
That is so weird.
Never really leave.
One thing I was gonna say is, thanks for your service, and remember, with all the education you have, all of the information you have, take it from Joanne and I, there's always ways to continue to contribute, and I'm so glad that you found one already. Good job. So I don't have to say that.
A couple, sorry.
It's hard for me to talk about because I think I'm doing pretty well at being composed. It's so hard because Marcy Bannon doesn't know this, but I was walking down the hallway and I was going to get some water, and I was thinking about, as I passed your office, that there's just people here that I might not see again, or I won't see as often. It's hard because you build and grow those friendships, and I'm very close with, I think I'm close with our team, HR, and it's just, but as far as what I'm gonna do, I have a garden that's got my name on it. That's been an embarrassment, and my husband tells people that I planted and he takes care of it. It's really mine. And then my husband and I are so blessed that we have Brian, our youngest son, who's 41 and disabled and also does, and I get to spend way more time with him, and I can't wait. Not to mention volunteering at my grandkids' school.
Yes.
I have things that will fill my time for sure. But I did check the box on the WASA form. Would you ever come back? Not yet. No September for me.
They wanted it this summer, I had to push it to September.
You can't say that publicly, we're not allowed to come back yet.
Yeah, I was thank you, I was gonna say.
HR has to keep it.
September is always the hardest month, I think, when you first
don't
retire,
have that.
September. Because I'm always excited about September. You just, then that's.
Make sure you have something special planned for September, because then you don't notice it as much.
I can plan some things for September.
We are flying out to San Diego on September 2nd.
That's what you have to do.
Take Airbnb, all 3 families, grandkids, 1 space, pool, hot tub.
Nice.
Sorry to tell us yet, we have a lot of great plans.
I just want to publicly comment on what a dirty move it is to have 50% of a cabinet leave in the midst of explosive growth. But here's a couple things I would say. Board, you've had some amazing talent visit our district from outside that have been all around, and they're drawn to us from 2 things. The people that we have that are incredible in the work that we're doing. If you think about Doc Brown, him coming in, you think about Paul Bloomberg could write a book anywhere he wants to go, and he comes here. Why? Because of the people that we have, the amazing kids and staff and the work that they're doing. And those are really a derivative. Think back a few years ago to the transition in employees, and you have record low turnover in your employee ranks. Think about just the explosive growth you're seeing on the outcome side. That's really a testament to the amazing work that these 2 have done. We will miss them. I don't know how we're getting by without them, but we're going to be having the wonderful opportunity to figure that out in a few weeks. But it's been a fun and a pleasurable ride, and I've enjoyed the heck out of working with you both. So thank you.
Thank you for your support.
You've been with Steve for a long time. Didn't you work with him in?
Steve got promoted from assistant principal to principal. I was his first hire in 1998. Steve offered me and hired me to be an administrator in 2005, so my first administrative job. So we worked together for the first 10 years directly, about 13 years in Enumclaw, and then back here for the last 4, with some overlaps in between.
And I told her all this time she should pay more attention because I'm really good at hiring. I know how to pick them.
You're right. Well, I'm sure you two will still see each other.
I think our paths will cross, I'm pretty sure. In fact, I have just the pleasure on the personal side, my son gets married next month, July 19th. Steve will be officiating the wedding.
Oh my gosh, that's awesome. Don't keep anybody in their seats way too long.
That wasn't my doing, that was my son's doing, because Steve was his principal.
I love that.
I love that. I was imagining Ed giving you that 10-minute time limit.
This is all my son's doing, he's got the floor, we'll see what happens. We'll see him next month for sure.
That's awesome.
Nice.
Very cool.
Well, with that, again, thank you both.
Yes.
And I think we can adjourn tonight's meeting. A little bit of cheers, good stuff. Thank you. Here we go, Jaden. Would you like to back the gavel?
There you go.
Oh.
Right there.
Close the meeting.
There you go.
What I need to say.
I'd like to adjourn tonight's meeting at
7:52.